Rosa Koire was just recently appeared on the Alex Jones show last Friday. I'm making a response video to that interview that was starring those two individuals. Now, when I'm making a response video, I'm not claiming again that Rosa Koire is a fraud, an idiot, or a complete moron. And most importantly, I believe that Agenda 21 and sustainable development is a real threat to our society. However, I believe that some of the claims she's making is kind of misleading, kind of biased, and I believe that individuals who are the judge should get a clear perspective, a larger spectrum of what is going on in our urban planning system. In other words, we should hear from side B, not just from side A. And we should hear a greater perspective in urban planning, not just where we're headed and what's happening now, but where we're coming from and why we're here. So, when I'm making this video, please don't think that I'm actually trying to attack her. I just want to deliver some hidden truth to the masses. So please, take a look at my analysis. Take a look at my response to every one of her points her make, and spread this information as much as you can. Hello everyone. I'm making the response video right now that Alex Jones and Rosa Koire just made an interview about a couple of days ago. Let's just, first of all, look at what Rosa Koire just demonstrated on the interview, portions of it, and let me give you my response. So let's start right around here.
Playing field because they're using your taxes to subsidize low-income development and high-density transit-oriented development.
So they can raise.
Okay, so she's criticizing about the aspect that low-income transit-oriented development is heavily being subsidized by your tax dollars. Okay, I get that. I understand the flaws with that. Now, here is where it gets kind of misleading. First of all, she doesn't tell you that there is a population that wants new, high-density, mixed-use, transit-oriented villages. Okay, not everybody wants to live in a large lot home that's gated and that's far from every single use. Because if that's the case, then I would assume Manhattan and inner Boston and Chicago and San Francisco would be ghost towns. But they're not. They're full of people, and those condos are selling way above construction costs, the new ones. Now, the other thing that Rosa Koire doesn't tell you is that the other system that she ignores or doesn't talk about, the other system that is being replaced by smart growth. A lot of people like to call sprawl. I like to call it coded car-dependent development, where residential, commercial, all the uses are segregated and they're very dependent on cars. That system itself is heavily subsidized and coded. Lots and lots of taxpayer funds go to build and repair the highway system, which can be wasteful. A lot of subsidies and maintenance go to build these 6-lane collector roads, which doesn't really solve the traffic problem often. Lots of subsidies go to build and fund the utility lines, to build new housing subdivisions. Lots of subsidies go to build the vast parking lots for the strip malls. And of course, it makes you want to think, well then, why does a lot of other suburban neighborhoods have high property taxes, high HOA fees, mellow roofs? Where do you think all of this comes from? So Rosa Koire, I understand the fact that a lot of these high-density developments are heavily subsidized. But what you don't demonstrate is about the fact that a lot of the other development, which is the opposite of smart growth, very car-dependent, uses far apart, gets lots and lots of subsidies as well. But you don't talk about that. And a lot of these followers who are listening to you are not being told the whole enchilada of the story. A lot of them are getting lots and lots of partial truth. And again, this is the system where you go in the outer urban centers where you see strip malls, housing subdivisions that are cookie cutter, that are having cul-de-sacs, They're often single-family homes. That's a development that's heavily subsidized, but you don't talk about that a lot. So we really need to make sure the truth gets out there. Now let's go into 15:15, and let's just see what she is trying to demonstrate.
And you will not be able to get out into the rural and suburban areas. This plan is about bringing people out of rural and suburban areas into city centers where they can be more easily controlled, monitored, and surveilled. That is what this is about, more eyes on the street. Community-oriented policing is Department of Justice. This is about creating more crime, calling it community crime, and then being able to jail more people. Prisons are public-private partnerships. So this is...
Okay. I understand a lot of the property rights of rural areas, especially farmers. I've seen that a lot in the Central Valley of California has gone down, and I understand how this is all connected to the redevelopment in urban centers. You make a good point. Now, when I look at the Agenda 20 map, a lot of the suburban cities are in the black dots. And those suburban cities, when they're in the black dots, they're not listed under little or no human use or highly regulated use. In fact, my city, Laguna Niguel, which is a suburban city, is on the black dot. And I heard that many people that say that black dot cities are going to be hurting. So who's right? How can we understand what's going on? You say they're being kicked out of the suburban areas, but at the same time, I'm being told that cities in the black dots are where they're going to be hurting to. Well, a lot of suburban cities are on the black dots, so who should I believe? What's the truth? What's going on? Come on, explain. How's this all making sense? And then when I look at the real world, Rosa Koire, I look at Orange County, California. Despite the economic disaster that we are in, I'm still seeing brand new single-family homes being not only built, but planned to be built, detached single-family homes with yards to be constructed in the next 5 years in the outer fringes of Orange County. It's a development called Rancho Mission Viejo. You can Google it. It's close to Ladera Ranch, California. They're building lots and lots of single-family homes. They're planning to extend still the 241 toll road. And you go to cities that are suburban all over the country, outside the metropolitan areas. They're still building so many new single-family detached homes from a lot of home builders. KB Home, Polte, Lennar, D.R. Horton, Meritage. The list goes on. So when I look at the real world, and I even see, interest rates are at the lowest levels in who knows when. So they're still delivering you the environment so you can borrow much money so you can buy your ever larger suburban McMansion tract cookie cutter house. So you have to look in the other side. So again, Rosa Koire, I understand property rights are going down, but when I'm looking in the real world, it's becoming not easy for me to actually believe your claims. Now let's look at 1625.
Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, many huge foundations are funding nonprofits that...
Okay, so let's just get it clear. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Walton Foundation, the Ford Foundation. Now, how would they really benefit from high density and transit-oriented villages? Because first of all, the Rockefeller Foundation, when you think of Rockefeller, you think of having them owning the oil companies. And in an environment where people are driving less, people would basically consume less oil. So it makes me want to think, how would they actually benefit from all of this? I don't know, my guess is that they probably want to go bankrupt. But really, what you're mentioning, Rosa Koire, it's kind of difficult for me to believe. Because it makes me think that they actually want to lose money in terms of their corporate power. Because then they would get less consumers. The Walton Family Foundation, how do you expect me to believe that? In a walkable, transit-oriented village, that would generally favor mom-and-pop stores. As a matter of fact, if you look back in the many decades ago, last 40 to 50 years, big box retailers like Walmart helped put a lot of the mom-and-pop stores that are in traditional, walkable downtowns. that are historic, as a matter of fact, out of business. So people can drive more, park their cars in a subsidized parking lot that's coded as well, so they can buy bulk goods at the big box retailer. So how would they benefit from smart growth policies? And as a matter of fact, it's on record that these big box stores did rezoning to benefit from a car-dependent single-use practice. I mean, you know, what you're pointing out is kind of difficult for me to believe, as a matter of fact. The Ford Foundation, I mean, they make so many automobiles. People would drive less under an Agenda 21 society. How would they benefit? You know, again, how am I supposed to put this all together? Now, I understand that there's a lot of corporations lobbying for Agenda 21, and I understand the treasonous mechanisms behind that. You make that good point. But on the other hand, have you noticed that there's been a lot of lobbyists in the last 80 years that wanted to create an environment that we want to drive a lot so we can consume a lot, oil, and the list goes on? You don't tell a lot of people that, Rosa, and neither a lot of those other activists. And I really have to spread the word. Just do me a favor. Go to Google and type in sprawl lobby, and you'll get a lot of results. Let's see what we can get.
A communitarian. He said that we've gone way too far in the individualistic direction, and we have to pull it back to rebalance towards communitarianism. Cities in our towns, we want to educate our local officials and let them know that we will support them if they refuse to take federal grants for Partnership for Sustainable Community Grants.
Okay, first of all, again, I understand Agenda 21 is a serious, serious issue. Believe me, I've been doing a lot of activism to stop it. However, again, some of your points are kind of misleading. Not that they're lies, they're complete scams. I just feel that when people listen to you, they're kind of getting a misleading, wrong interpretation about what's exactly going on. Again, I appreciate your efforts, I appreciate your passion, your diligence, and I hope you succeed. But the question is, what's the real truth and what's the solution that's out there? So again, when you look at it this way, I understand the problems that are associated with smart growth. But here's the thing that you need to understand. Just because smart growth is going to die sometime soon, that doesn't mean high-density, pedestrian-oriented, transit-oriented development is going to die. That doesn't mean that these elements are a form of tyranny. If that's the case, then we would be living in tyranny from the 1870s to the 1930s, where most of our cities, central cities, were being built at that time that featured a lot of those concepts. The list goes on from Boston, New York, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Chicago, St. Louis, New Orleans, San Francisco. The list goes on. But we weren't living in tyranny. We had lots of flexibility and choice back then. But yet again, a lot of your followers, and I don't know whether you know it or you don't want to tell it or whatever the case, they're not being told the flaws, the limitations, restrictions, and corruption based on lobbying that is based on whatever you want to call it, the system that smart growth is trying to replace. Suburbia, sprawl, or what I like to call coded car-dependent development. Again, there's a lot of untold truth that is being delivered to the masses. So this is the thing that you kind of have to understand. And again, I understand that suburbia delivers a lot of benefits, free-flowing traffic, your ability to have private property. Well, again, your private property is actually, depending on who you are, is actually owned by the bank, and you do have restrictions based on HOA, based on certain ordinances. So again, you're not really all that free, but it's still better than what is actually being planned under Agenda 21. Now, the thing that I want to get out, Rosa Koire, is what's your solution? How do you want to plan our cities? Do you have any idea? I mean, I'm 20 years old. I've made tons of clips where I've drawn towns, single-family homes, a better alternative. Not the only option, but one choice that people can move forward in life, that people can be more flexible, embrace more opportunities with. But you're not delivering any new ideas, but I am. And I'm delivering under the forms of Cyrus Planning. So again, Google Cyrus Planning, YouTube it as well, and please spread the word about these planning techniques. And also, again, please spread the word about this video. Because again, I'm not here to attack Rosa Koire. I'm just here to deliver the truth that is lost and not being told to the masses. So please do what you can, spread this information, and make Cyrus Planning roar like there's no tomorrow. Thank you so much.